Hi friends, welcome back. And today we are going to discussing about integrity constraints in MySql. Okay, what is integrity constraints? Integrity constraints are rules applied to the database tables to ensure the data accuracy and consistency and reliability. Okay, that constraints enforce the rules on table columns to prevent the invalid or inconsistent data being from the entered. It's nothing but like you can say uh, now imagine now I have some data table. Okay, in this table I want to enter some of the things. Okay, this one row and second row and third row and fourth row. Okay, like this, and columns also presented. I want to enter the sum of the columns. Okay, now I want to make SID become a unique. Okay, unique. What I need to use? If I like, I entered in this SID. Okay, 1 to 10. Okay, then 11th record I want to enter 10 again. Okay, this is a duplicate, right? I don't want to do that, right? This every time should be unique. That moment, if you use some of the constraints in a column, okay, that will says that uh, as a brother, you are already entered 10 number, please choose another number. Okay, and real time this should be a unique number creations. Okay, they will create some of the things in a real time. Okay, but if you want manual execution time, then you need to provide the value of that. If that particular record or column number is already presented, then it will not allow you to do that. Okay, it will ask you to re-enter one more time. Okay, this is a one. And second, the name which you have entered, some of the names should not be a null. That moment you can able to create one constraint for the name field. Okay, in this name you can mention that not null constraint. That constraint will allow you to say that without allowing some null values in that particular column, something you have to enter. Otherwise they will provide the number of SID, but they forgot to provide the name. That moment, what will happen? That become its be null value. Okay. Some of the constraints are having check constraints. Okay. The check constraint will basically it will check that whether that particular condition will be presented or not. And default constraint is there. The default constraint is basically to check if user is not provided any value for that particular column, automatically default value will be set to that particular column. Okay. And primary and foreign key is there. And primary is basically when you want to create one particular column or multiple columns, which will be a uniquely you want to show that moment you can able to use the primary. And foreign key is basically you have one table now. Okay, and a future one more table will be there. Okay, you want to combine with these two tables like now you feel that there is an employee ID, employee first name, last name, salary, date of birth, and company name, department, and what designation you are working. Now see, this is a lengthy, right? You should not use like address and so many things. It is presented in a single table. It will be a look like a. It's not a good view, right? Then you need to reduce that moment. What will happen? The department you can able to move into one table. Okay, uh, which role you are working, that role table you can move. Okay, salary you can move into another table. Okay, each department have a different structure of salary, right? They can able to move. That moment what will happen? We can able to use only one specific link together, and we can able to reuse. Okay, that is a foreign key relationship. Okay, how we can able to do that we can see in this particular session. Okay, one by one we can able to see. Now I'm going to use here. And what are the constraints we have? I forgot to write that constraints. Okay, not null constraint and unique constraint, and then primary key constraint, and for foreign key uh, constraint and check constraint, and we have default constraint, default constraint. Okay, these are the things we have. Okay, and we can see one by one. First we'll see for the not null. Okay, if you say some example wise, there is a company, okay, where employee ID must be required. Okay, that moment we can say that name, sorry, name. Okay, name should be identical. One unique first name, last name is there, but you have to see that names, right? That moment you have to see that name as a without empty. Okay, that moment we can able to use this not null case. Okay, how we can able to use it? We can execute this one. Okay, we are using. Now I'm going to use one creating a table. Create a table. Now I'm using for uh, not null case. Okay, I'll use for ABC or not null. Okay, not null table is a not null only I mentioned. Okay, for understanding purpose. NID int. I'm using for primary key. I'll explain you primary key as well. Or we can able to without that also we can able to use it. Okay, primary key time I will explain you. Name varchar I'm going to use for 20. Okay, and then for the name we need to use for not null, right? After varchar then I'm going to use for not null. Okay, not null. Then I'm using for comma and using for age int. Okay, now if I execute this one it will create table. Okay, then I'm going to use for to inserting for invalid like a blank name. Okay, now we can see because not null it will not allow you to insert a records as a null values. Okay, whether it will insert or not we can see now. Okay, now insert into not null table. Okay, what are the things I want to use? NID. Okay, NID, and I'm going to execute for age. Okay, these are the two things I'm going to do that. Okay, and I'm going to use for values. Now you can see now my ID is 1. Okay, and I'm going to use for 18 as my number. Okay, now I'm trying to insert for this one. See now here there is a error code appear. A field name does not have a default value. Okay, inserting into not null table there is a age and ID. There is no default value for that name. Okay, that is a error message we got it because it will not allow you to insert any kind of value inside that particular not null case. Okay, if you try to insert then it will show you that specific column. It doesn't have any default values. Okay, that way we can able to ensure us that name field must be entered. Without entering that it will not allow you to do that. Okay, we can see for enter also now. Okay, a name, and I'm going to enter for not null. Okay, now I'm going to inserting now first two case. See, it is enter, and then I'm going to do for select star from not null. Okay, if I execute this one, see, it is presented. like this we can able to do for this one. Okay. Now, second case, unique constraint. Unique constraint is basically to admission number, uh, any joining for employee, a student admission number. Okay, we required to be there. Okay, but unfortunately, employee ID is made a duplicate. Okay, like same number allocated for two different employees, or we can able to say students. There is a student joined in a college, but two of the students having the same student ID. Okay, that two cases you can able to assume. Okay, that moment it will have some problem, right? To making this, we can able to make any one of them as a unique, like user ID is primary, it will be generated for unique. Okay, then email ID or name of name, so many people will be a same, but email ID will be different, right? That moment we can able to use that email ID should be unique. That moment we can able to assurance that two different users, and we can able to assign for two different IDs like that. Okay. Now for this, I'm going to creating again one more table. Okay, I'm copying here, pasting here. See here, I'm going to use for unique table. Okay, NID, N name, common. Okay, here I'm not changing anything. Okay, and here I'm going to use for uniquely. There is a email ID. Okay, email is a one we can able to choose. Okay, for email I'm going to use for varchar. Okay, I'm going to use for 50 characters. Okay, and this particular 50 or we can 150 we can choose. Okay, and this email ID is required as a unique. Okay, it should be unique. Now I'm going to create the table. Table is created. Now I need to insert the records, right? I want to insert the records. Now I'm going to do that, inserting record. Okay, unique table is presented, ID, and here is the name and then email. Okay, and id is become this one, and again I'm going to take as a name is same, and email id I need to take. Okay, now abc@gmail.com is the one I choose. Okay, and now I'm going to insert this one first. Okay, now inserted. Okay, column name specified twice. Oh, sorry, here I specified twice. Now inserted perfectly. The same record one more time I'm going to take. Here I will change as a 1 because that is be unique, right? We mentioned previous one like not null. So not null it will allow for duplicate as. Now here ABC value. Okay. Now again I'm going to insert the same. See, we got the error because duplicate entry for abc@gmail.com for the key of unique table dot email. Okay, it is says that that should be a unique. It is having a duplicate because already we have done for unique table creation time, right? Now we have already one record, and if you try to insert for this one, because we are already used for unique, if any record is inserted the same already presented one, then we will get it for error for that particular cases. Okay, this is the unique one. Okay, now we are going to see for primary constraint. Primary constraint is basically any employee or any student. Students required a roll number. Like in exams time, they need for specific role ID to identify that is the person as a particular member. Okay. For employee, he required for unique identification that is called Aadhaar card or PAN card or you can use a passport to identify this is the user is that particular person. Okay. To identification that required for unique. Right. That moment we need to use as a unique creation purpose. It will not allow you to make the duplicate for that user. Any user the companies will make it for one identification purpose, which is primarily verification in the companies. When you before joining they do for some background verification, right? In this background verification they will verify your Aadhaar card, PAN card, passport, everything, and then whether they confirm it. Okay, that unique identification IDs they can able to store into there. For that they can create for identity column, and that identity they can able to merge into your employee table. Okay, how we can able to do this one? Create a table with the identity. Okay, for ID int. For here this is required for uniquely creation ID. Okay, for that we can able to use the primary key. Okay, see this primary key, right? You can able to use for any location, any table. This is basically it will take as a unique. Okay, then name varchar 20. Okay, why it is showing error? Now created. Okay, now I'm going to insert the records. Okay, insert into identity, and here is required for ID comma name. Okay, now values, and here I'm going to use for 1 because now just I used for int as a primary key. You can able to use for anything. Okay, and here I'm going to use for pan. Okay, now I'm going to inserting this record. Okay, now I inserted. Okay, if I use for this particular table to show whether that particular inserted happen or not. See, it is inserted. Okay, now again I'm trying to insert this particular record. See, it is having for one duplicate entry for one for the key of identity dot primary because they are already assigned for the primary key. It will not allow you to make the duplicate for that particular user. Okay, the roll number should be unique and not null for that user. In case if you try to insert for only for this one, see again, I field ID does not have a field a default value. Okay, both the cases it will give you for errors. If you remove that and if you do right, that will not allow you. Okay, if you try to insert something and that also it will not allow. Okay, because the key is already assigned for one of the member. Okay, that way we can able to assurance that it will not allow you for duplicate. Okay, and also now foreign key constraint. Foreign key constraint is basically two different table to combining into a one place. That way we can able to do like example, a student is required departments like now engineering college you can able to see CSC, mechanical and civil, like that, there are different things. If you go for degree also, CSC and MPC, BIPC, like that, they are changing the departments, right? Each student has separate department section. For that identification, this particular student is a specific department. This particular employee is specific department. Okay, for that we need to require, right? That moment we can able to do for two different tables and ensures that particular employee or student is specific departments. Okay, how we can able to do? For that, create a table. I'm going to use for DPT. Okay, DPT is assurance the department. Okay, just for shortcut I mentioned. Okay, and here DPT ID int I'm going to create as a primary key again. Okay, this is the unique ID we required. Okay, DPT name a varchar 50, and then it should not be a not null. Okay, this is the one table, and again I'm going to create for one student table. Okay, student. Okay, for this SID, yes name. Okay, yes, and we required for DPT ID. Okay, DPT ID. DPT ID is basically a foreign key relationship, right? Int we need to mention, and here we need to write the logic how we need to combine these two. Okay, now comma we need to mention. Okay, and we need to write the foreign key relationship generation. Okay, now we need to use the foreign key. Okay, which foreign key we need to raising? DPT ID. Okay, for DPT ID purpose. Okay, what reference we are going to do? Like the foreign key, we are making a department ID as a foreign key. Okay, what table and which table we are going to generating as a foreign key relationship. Okay, for the reference table, this we need to mention that reference. Okay, a reference as DPT, which we are, and this is basically DPT table. Okay, for the DPT table, and inside the DPT, which column we are generating? DPT ID. And one thing you have to remember, this particular column name, and here we are presented name should be a matching. Then only we can able to see like properly. Okay. Otherwise, it is like if you change the names, right, you will get some confusion. If you make the same names, then maybe we can able to make it. Okay. If you do this one, and it will generate as a foreign key relationship. And also one more thing, if you want to delete in the middle of that, imagine you need to delete some of the things, then how you can able to do, right? For that we need to use for on delete cascade. Okay, why this is because we need to delete some of the record. That moment it will not allow you to do that, it will make as a error. Okay, otherwise it will give you some error for you. Okay, that also we can see how we can able to see that. Okay, now I'm going to creating this particular two tables. Now I'm executing this. See, two tables are created. Then we need to insert these two table values. Okay. For that, we need to insert the two tables. First, we need to insert the department. Okay. Into DPT. Okay. What are the things we need to use? DPT ID. Okay. And name. Okay. These are the two things we are going to inserting. And I'm going to specifying that values. Okay, for this department I'm going to specifying one comma uh, IT, 1 comma IT. Okay, now I'm going to inserting this record. Now unknown column name field. Oh, sorry, DPT name. And we specify we are able to insert that IT as a first one. Okay. Then the similar format we need to insert the students. Okay. Students are you can able to say employees also. But now I took the student into a student. Okay. And yes ID comma yes name comma DPT ID. Okay. DPT ID. And we are specifying the values. And here we need to mention 1 comma as a student name. Okay, and I'm mentioning the location and I'm going to use for 1 as a my ID. Okay, now if I insert here, see both the cases I inserted. Okay, now we are able to insert. Now if you see right here, if I try to delete any record from that, we may get like a cannot delete or update a parent row, a foreign key constraint fails. Okay, if you try to delete the department ID, okay, which it is required here. Now select star from DPT. Okay, for this DPT having IT. Okay, I want to delete this one. Okay, delete from DPT where DPT ID is equal to 1. Okay, now I'm trying this one. It is deleted because why means we mentioned for on delete cascading. Okay, that's why we are able to delete this one. Otherwise, it will not allow you to delete it. If you are not mentioned that case, see now it's a null value TC there. Okay, if you are not mentioned that, automatically you cannot able to delete it. How we can able to see that particular error message? Now again I'm going to creating for one more other table which is related to that. Okay, now again I will insert this one. I'm going to insert. Okay, now again we can see say IT is there, right? Now I'm going to creating for one more table. I'm removing this on delete cascading and all. Okay, we have already department 1 and the department students and 2 I'm going to inserting. Okay, now inserting the same record. Okay, now I'll try for delete as well. It is deleted. It should not delete. Okay, somewhere something. Okay, automatically this one and student 2 because it already applied for on cascading. Because of that, it is deleting. Okay, 1 second. We inserted into a table to I think 1 minute. Now one more time I will do that. Here insert And here I'll mention for 2 and 2 and student 2 and department ID. Okay. Now I'll try to delete this. Yeah, now it is. Previous, I think I done for only students table I inserted. Because of that, it is not allowing that moment. Directly it is allowed. Now we can see right here. Now I perfectly insert for the student too. Now cannot delete or update a parent row. A foreign key constraint fails. Okay. This is the error message we can able to get in case if your relationship is there. Okay, if you are not mentioned on delete cascading, then automatically you will get this error. If you mention this one, because of that, I show you that first on delete cascading. On delete cascading is basically to you can able to delete. Okay, if that relationship is there or not. But only one thing you have to remember, like that automatically remaining data also it will remove. Okay, child which is a relationship it is there that also it will delete. Okay, this is the main thing. Okay. And we have like a check constraint also one of the thing like we have like before check constraint I have one more thing you need to remember this deleting right department null for the employees you can able to set. Okay, is something you want to set the default value or something after deleting you need to set the null value, then you can able to set the null value. Means after deleting the value automatically it will set as a null. Okay, to making for empty it will make as that one also. Okay. And check consent. Check consent is basically to check that whether that employee is eligible for that particular company. One case, and second case whether that particular employee student age is 18 or not. That moment for some engineering students and that like some of the voting time you are going to vote right. That voting time you need to check that particular member whether he is having for age more than 18 or equal to 18 or not, that you need to check that particular user. How you can able to check? Okay, by using for check constraint you can able to use the table peoples. Okay, now here I can able to use a PID int. Okay, p name varchar 50 and I'm going to use for age. Okay, age as int and I'm going to use for check constraint. Here is you have to see that check how we are going to use. The method name is check. Okay, and then you need to open two braces. What check constraint you are using? Age one. Okay, age is greater than or equal to 18 or not. If it is more than 18, then only it will allow you. How it will not allow you, we can see. Now I am inserted. Okay, now we are able to insert, right? Now here insert into equals. Okay, what are the things you need to use? PID and P name. Okay, and age. You want to do that. Okay, now values for that user I'm going to use for 1 and ABC name. Okay, my age is 16. Okay, 16. I'm using for 16. Now if I try to insert this one, see now it is not able to allow you because check constraint people's one is evaluated. Okay, like this we can able to get error message if it is below that. Not only age, you can able to use the pricing like a shopping, online shopping you are doing, some discount you want to get it. That moment also check constraint will use that specific product, that particular uh, discount whether it is applied or not. That moment also you can able to use this check constraint. Okay, it will allow you to do that as well. Okay, but online shopping they are using for different way, but that how the calculations and all you need to practice. Okay. Most probably simple example is age verification. Okay. And the final one we have for that is the one default constraint. Default constraint is basically if you deleting or something data, you want to set a default value for that particular column. That moment you can able to use like department. Now we delete the department, right? Okay. At that moment it is deleted remaining things also. That moment we will some errors occurs. Okay. But we can able to use some default value to set also. And second case, any employee, any student is joined the date. You forgot to insert that joining date, right? That moment you can able to use current date as a joining date. That is a one it will allow you to make it to save the time also. Okay, default automatically it will take as a current date as a joining date. Okay, how we can able to do? Okay, now I'm going to take this one as an example. Okay, and I'll remove this one. Check constraint. And here I'm going to use for sorry joining date. Okay, and here I'm going to use for default current timestamp. Okay, current timestamp. Okay, and here I'm going to use for PID, people's ID. Okay, now I'm going to inserting this one. What join date default current timestamp invalid default values. Okay, create a table and ID name joined it with the default is the one and current timestamp only current date timestamp. Yeah, now it is inserted the record. Okay, because the date only I took and after that I just use the current date stamp. That is the reason it is not allowing that. Okay, now we are going to inserting the record. Okay, insert into tables one. Okay, and here I'm going to use a PID and P name. Okay, I'm not going to insert that joining date. Okay, values. Now I'm going to use for one and here is ABC. Okay, I'm going to inserting this record. Now you can see it is one row is affected. If I use for select query, select star from this particular table. Okay, now you can see it is taken as a current timestamp. Okay, automatically current date and stamp automatically it will take and it will make it as a default value setup. Even you can able to use for any column which is required. Okay, in case you will forget some of the times like a salary time. Okay, joining time, each newly joined fresher member he required for certain amount. Okay, monthly this much, yearly this much. Okay, you can able to set as a default value. Then automatically that particular value it will set to that particular column. Whenever you insert any new joining person, automatically take as a the same package for all the users. Okay, like this we can able to use for all our constraints. I hope it this entire information help for you. Thank you for watching and please do subscribe and share to your friends and colleagues. Thank you.